Welcome back to the Immigration Answers Show. My name is Jim Hacking. I'm an immigration attorney practicing law throughout the United States, out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. I'll be here for the next hour talking to all of you about the U.S. immigration process, the policies and procedures of USCIS and the State Department, about delays, about processing times, all those good things. Let us know if you have a minute where you're watching from. Let us know what's going on. We love to hear from everybody. We love to know what's going on in your world. Hope you had a nice weekend. Where are you watching us from? Let us know in the comments. Even if this is a replay, we love to hear where people are watching from. I was on a quest forever to find a viewer from Namibia. We had a viewer from Namibia last month, so that made us really happy. Got a couple of things I want to talk about today. One is, here's something I never thought I'd have to say on the show. But apparently, you guys know how when I talk to somebody about their case and they say they want to reach out to the firm, and I tell them, well, just say my name's Hooli and I was on the call at the 20-minute mark on the Thursday show. Apparently, people have been calling up the office acting like they were on the show when they weren't really on the show. Can you believe it? Like, this is a real thing. Like, people are trying to jump the line or something. I don't know. I mean, the office is always there, but you got some people acting as if they've been on the show when they haven't really been on the show, which is not, let's just say, not, oh, there's Margaret, Namibia, represent. That's what I'm talking about. Look, Margaret's even got the flag. Margaret made history for us. I guess next up, I need to find someone from Antarctica, but I don't think we'll ever have anybody from Antarctica. But you know what else would be pretty good? Not so far from Namibia is Madagascar. That would be really great if we could get someone from Madagascar. But of course, we're happy to see Kweku from Ghana, Jay's in Neptune, hopefully the city, not the planet. Patricia's in New Jersey. Jamal is getting ready to go to South Africa for the honeymoon. That's pretty good. Very exciting stuff. In any event, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll be here for the hour. I don't remember what time we're starting tomorrow, Julio, just so that I can announce it later. Is it 4 tomorrow? Okay, great. No softball for Noor this week. Softball starts next week, and I'll actually be gone on Monday next week. So we did a Sunday show yesterday. I did a show at the airport. I'll do a show today, Tuesday. I'm going to be shooting for 3 a week, maybe 4. 4 is always fun. But at the end of the day, Bermuda's in the house. Bermuda's where Amani and I went on our honeymoon. And, next year's our 25th wedding anniversary. So we might take a little stop back in Bermuda. And that's the one place where I ever rode a motorcycle. So I drove a motorcycle in Bermuda. So, Margaret's on the case. Margaret has friends in Madagascar. That's pretty awesome. Thank you, Margaret, for making my day once again. Mirchi's here. Hi, Mirchi. Okay. How you doing, Mirchi? Can you hear me? Mirchi's got a lot going on. We'll have to come back. Let's head to Allie. Hi, Allie.
Hello. Hi, Jim. My question is, at MVC stage, if, for example, my husband has been a U.S. citizen, has been working in Germany for between 2020 and 2022, and now...
Sorry, I'm just being silly.
And now we have this affidavit of support form, I-864. And I am a little bit I'm not really understanding the figures that are in those brackets as a total income from the tax return, right? If you remember that you have to optionally put 3 years of tax return total income, and then there is the current total income of the year. In those brackets, it says that you have to put the adjusted gross income, and that's it's about 29,000 in 2022, because he had the foreign tax exclusion because of working in Germany for the as a contractor for the U.S. government. Do you think that is a problem? Do they
How about the other 2 years?
the other two? Now here's the problem. In 2021, he didn't pay any taxes. He filed, but he didn't have to pay because of the tax exclusion. And in 2020, he did pay 45,000. And his annual income is way above the poverty guidelines.
So what's your question for me?
The question is that affecting my case if we are showing, because those other years, except for the 2022, those are optional, right?
They may say that they're optional, but in reality, I've seen very few I-64s get approved without all 3 years qualifying and all 3 years documented.
Okay, is it a problem based on what I've told you, the amounts of money that the adjusted gross income? Do they look at that, or do they look at how much he's currently making in the U.S. right now?
Yeah. Both. But you're viewing it wrong. You're viewing it like, oh, well, if I make it on either one, will that be enough? That's the wrong way to do it. The way you should be thinking of it is the way they think of it is, which is, can we ding him on either one of these? So long and the short of it is, you want to get a co-sponsor.
A co-sponsor, okay. Even if he has from his current employer for the past 6 months pay stubs, and he has.
You could be a college student and for 2 years and make no money, and then you make $1 million your third year. You're going to need a co-sponsor.
You still okay? So the adjusted gross income, that is a problem. Those
adjusted gross income is the actual number, which is why they ask for it. Yep.
Okay. And if the guy, just to make sure I understood right, if the guidelines of poverty for the current annual income is 24,000, but the adjusted gross income paid for 2022 was 29,000, and then the other one was 0, and 2020 was 45. Is that still a problem?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Good luck. All right, Anish is here. What do you say, Anish?
Hey, Jim. Pretty good. Just a quick curious question I have about revocation of naturalization, denaturalization.
Just a little question about denaturalization. But we're all friends, right? No, go ahead.
I mean, just for my information. So, I was just reading upon this topic, and it says that if willful misrepresentation can lead to denaturalization. So,
can I tell you about my favorite question on the N400 that took me forever to figure out? Do you know what it is?
I don't.
Have you ever committed a crime or offense for which you've not been arrested? Because no one in their right mind would say, oh, yeah, that was me. I've been a drug dealer for the last 10 years. That's not why they ask you the question. The reason they ask you the question is because if later on they find out that you were committing a crime at or before the time that you naturalized, then they can say that was a misrepresentation. But what kind of a misrepresentation were you worried about?
Because when I got my green card, at the time of the interview, I did mention it to the officer that I was associated with a company that eventually ended up being fraudulent, and they are certainly aware of it. And I was expecting them to issue me a 601 waiver because my green card was based on a marriage to a U.S. citizen. However, the officer did not, asked me to file a 601, and they approved my green card. So I'm worried if for any chance this thing may come up after I naturalize.
So did the topic of you working for this employer come up at your green card interview?
Yes, it did.
And is the employer that you're worried about, are they listed on your I-45?
Uh, I-485. I think so.
What I'm wondering is, if this comes out up at your naturalization interview, what proof do we have that you brought this up to them other than your testimony?
I did uh, give them some of the documents that were given to me when I was associated with this employer, like employment job offer letter and the training materials and all that. That
Well,
they
let me ask you this: did you get your green card based on employment or based on something else?
based on marriage to a citizen.
Okay. And at the time of your green card interview, was it known by others that this company was shady?
Others meaning
In other
USCIS.
words, did it? No. Like, was it publicly known, or did it come out after you got
Yeah,
your green card?
yeah, yeah. It was a big news, and I mean, USCIS was certainly aware of it. And
Was this like during OPT or H-1B or what?
oh, during OPT,
Okay.
uh,
So
and they know about it. Yeah, they have it in their notes, and I was very open about it at the interview, and the officer also took notes about it, and I've been very open about it. I mean, there's nothing to hide or, or anything of that sort. But I was expecting a 601, but they never asked me to file 601. They asked me to submit my medical documents and issued me the green card. So I'm
well,
worried, like, yeah,
yeah, I'm
if
gonna be I'm gonna be careful about talking about this too much because, like, and I don't want you to answer this, but what would be concerning to me, and again, I don't want you to say anything.
mhm.
What would be concerning to me is the knowledge level and the activity level you had with this employer. In other words, and again, don't say anything, but I mean, one, I would do a FOIA to track down a copy of the file to see what there might be in your file about what you did disclose, what they understood. Because I could see this coming up at your naturalization interview. They could accuse you of never mentioning it, of hiding it, and so we want to be able to beat that back when you naturalize, to
Mm.
show that they had full knowledge of all this and they gave you the green card anyway. Because in theory, they could come after your green card and say, "Oh, we didn't really understand what you were saying. We didn't really understand at the time the seriousness of this employer, and so therefore we're going to try to revoke your green card and undo it." I don't think that's going to happen, but it is a possibility. Mostly depending on your knowledge level.
Right, or possibly after granting my citizenship, they might try to revoke it.
Well, you seem to be focused on getting your citizenship revoked when you don't even have it yet. When I'd be more concerned about whether you're going to get it.
Right, right, yeah. So if it comes up during the citizenship uh, test or the interview, what like should I be prepared with all the documents,
I
like
mean,
again
again,
and all the
I would not apply for naturalization unless I got their file first. And I wouldn't apply for naturalization without a lawyer. I wouldn't go to the interview without a lawyer. I would work this case up. I would work this case up as if they're already coming for your green card. That's how I would think about it. Not that they are going to, but you need to think
right,
worst case scenario because
right, right,
there's this really shiny thing over here called citizenship. But
right,
there's also this button that puts old Anish right out on his way out of the U.S. I don't think that's going to happen, but you got to think about both scenarios. That's
right,
how everybody should be thinking about their cases.
right, right. Yeah. So yeah, that was the only concern I had in my mind. Just wanted to have that thing. I
Thanks,
wanted to
Anish.
ask you. Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jim. Thank you
bye,
so much.
everybody. See ya. Yeah, you always got to think defensively and offensively. You got to think about what's the great thing that I could get, where could I end up, all those things. You got to be careful about. Oh, APF is in a good mood today. Got the 45 and the green card approved. Would love to know APF whether you had an interview and how long the case was pending. Thanks for the good news. All right, let's go ahead and say hello to Simo. Simo's been on before. I think Simo doesn't want to be seen.
Yes.
So I turned off your camera.
Um,
What's it?
hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you. I have two quick questions. As a follow-up questions to the we met like over 10 days ago about my I-539 application. I have two. My first question is like I already have like my so you know that I told you that I have an approved notice with only 24-hour validity date that I received about 4 months ago. So I already have like a B1 B2 visa that I have from years ago. So can I still use this visa if I want to return in the future? And my second question is like you told me like over a week ago that by the time my country's borders were opened, I had to leave the U.S. immediately. What would you say if I told you that I have concrete evidence from based on the chat I had with a USCIS representative back in when I applied, a few days after I applied, like back then during the pandemic, it was hard to have calls. So I managed to chat with a USCIS representative. So I'm reading in front of me. I took screenshots of the conversation I had with one of them. So my question was, must I leave the U.S. immediately once the borders are closed? And would that affect my return to the U.S. in the future? His response, and I'm quoting him: "If we receive your application before your non-immigrant status expires, and if you have not violated the terms of your status and meet the basic..."
Simo.
Yes.
I know you don't like my answers from the last time you were on the show. Where are you inside? Are you inside the United States right now, or are you outside the United States right now?
Yeah, I'm inside the U.S., but I'm intending to leave as soon as possible.
When did you receive that notice of the 1-day approval of your 539?
In the first week of April.
Of what year?
This year.
Why are you still here?
Because once I called them, the first USCIS representative I talked to, he said like, "Oh, it seems like it's a typographical error," and then he submitted.
There's no such thing.
As what?
As a typographical error. Whatever it says on there, that's the legal operative language of the approval. You should not be here. I don't know why you're calling and fighting with me. I already told you everything you need to know, and you're not doing it.
No, I'm doing it. I'm just preparing myself.
No, you're not. You're still here. You're still here, and you're fighting with me on my advice. My advice was sound. Everything I told you was right. This plan was dumb from the beginning, and you can't rely on stupid chat from a stupid immigration person who's not even a federal employee, but rather a contractor who doesn't know anything about immigration law, who did not get a law degree, who did not study immigration for the last 15 years. These people will tell you whatever they think you want to hear. There's nothing binding. They do not have the authority to bind the federal government. And more importantly, you're going to be dealing with this outside the United States with an embassy official who does not want to let you come into the United States, and you gave them everything they need. So please leave as soon as possible and hope that one day in the future you're going to be allowed back in, but I don't think you are.
Wow. In any capacity, immigrant, non-immigrant?
Maybe, I don't know, but I'm just saying not anytime soon. And you got a big black mark on your history because you listened to them instead of listening to me.
And even though like I was talking to the USCIS representative from the USCIS website, like the logo.
Okay. SEMA only wants to hear what SEMA wants to hear. So SEMA's not coming on the show anymore because SEMA doesn't want to listen to me. SEMA doesn't want to listen. He wants me to tell him what he wants to hear. He wants to tell me that some magical chat from an unidentified USCIS officer trumps federal immigration law, keeps the State Department from doing what they want to do. At the end of the day, he will be outside the United States and having done dumb things by applying for an extension or change of status, right? And so just because you can find somebody to tell you something that you want to hear instead of what the law actually is, what the embassies actually do, that's what's important. It doesn't matter what Jim thinks. It doesn't matter what this USCIS low-level agent says, what Emma says. Man, F Emma. That doesn't mean anything. You can't base your future on bad advice, and you can't just go find advice that you want to tell you to do what you want. You can't just go looking for. It's a really bad approach to find people that tell you what you want to hear. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I'm certainly not going to let you come back on a second time to do it all over again when I already told you. I had someone the other day, I did a consult with someone who's got some really serious criminal problems. And you know what? I'm pretty sure they're not going to hire me. And you know why? Because they want to go find some easier, softer way, some easier, softer attorney who tells them what they want to hear, gets a fee, but doesn't confront the reality of what people are dealing with. So, as Alejandra says, with all due respect, nobody will care about the chat screenshots he took. Nobody cares. All right. That'll be it for SEMO. Let's say hi to Brooklyn. Hello, Brooklyn.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I have a quick question. So, I got my green card back in 2022, and I had an interview in Mexico. And as soon as I got approved, I crossed to US, and I lived there for 1.5 years almost. And now I'm back to Mexico because I have few business to finish. So how long am I allowed to stay out of the country?
My vote is no more than 6 months. Don't be gone more than 6 months.
So the 6 months is in 1 year calendar, or it doesn't need to be in 1 year calendar?
Well, if you want to not lose your green card, you don't want to be out for more than a year. But if you have any trips of more than 6 months back to back, so from like March 1st till September 2nd, that would be more than 6 months direct out of the, back to back. You could come back once a week, and that's no problem. But when you apply for citizenship, they're going to ask you two questions. One, did you have any trips more than 6 months? Because that can reset the clock. And these days it really does reset the clock. And two, in the 3 years or 5 years since you got your green card, how much time have you spent outside the United States? Those are the two main questions. So any trip over 6 months, bad idea.
Okay. Another question is, when I leave the country, the US, I crossed with car. I drove across the border, and there was nobody to check or to make stamp in US side. And I just crossed to Mexico, and only Mexican custom they have asked me a few questions, those kind of stuff. But in US side, nobody talked to me. Nobody was there. So you think I'm gonna have hard time going back because I don't have any history, or they don't know when I leave the country?
I think that's a problem. I would be reluctant to travel back and forth across the border for that very reason. So you're going to have to prove up eventually all your trips. I would keep very detailed notes. I would write down when I came through, the time I came through, where I came through, if I could get the name of the person who waved me through, all those. I would generally try to avoid doing that. And I would generally not play too close being outside the United States for too long.
Yeah, I'm surprised because nobody was there. There is no even like, guard or anything. You just cross there, and the only thing you see is the Mexican customs, but there is no U.S. customs, and I'm just
Well, yeah,
like,
usually we don't keep track of who's leaving. We only keep track of who's entering.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they'll look at the day you entered Mexico. That'll be part of their analysis as to how long you've been gone and when they let you back in.
I see, I see. Okay, that was my question. Thank you so much. I really
Bye, Brooklyn.
appreciate it.
See you, buddy. Yeah, for sure. Anne is here. Hello, Anne. Oh, Anne went somewhere. Oh, here she comes.
Hello. Sorry.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I just going to switch off the fan. Hi.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I have a question. I came here in 2016.
Okay.
I filed immediately. I was coming in and out, and I came back in 2016. I didn't violate my status. I filed for asylum against domestic violence. In 2019, my husband died back home, the one I was filing against. And then I, immediately after that, I was truck driver. And then I met someone and we got married. COVID hit. I remember we filed. I have all the details when we filed, and then we were called for an interview in Oregon office. So when we went to the Oregon office, they interviewed me first, and then they interviewed him first, and then they interviewed us together. And I had a lawyer with me. The lawyer told me everything had gone on well, but they had a problem when I was filling my DS 160 now to get into the US. They said the company that I said I was working for was not real. So they told me to give only two evidence: the medical report, because the one I had submitted because of the COVID had already expired.
Sure.
And then they told me to submit a record of where I was working. So back home, I went to the IRS website here because I was paying the taxes. I printed all the documents, I did everything, and I gave it to my lawyer, and we submitted the request for evidence. And then after that, they called me for they didn't tell me that they received the request for evidence. But they told me, so I kept calling, and then I called once, I followed once, and then they told me they'll give me the feedback. After a while, after 1 year now, after the interview, I called my lawyer, and then my lawyer told me I should go through my it's called what? My Senate, Congress. Because he said he did not understand, and he can't be able to do anything. So that's when we went through the Congress followed, and then we were given 120 days, and then the 120 days ended. And then they called again. They told us that we should but when we followed the second time, my caseworker followed the second time, they told us within 60 days, if we haven't heard, they can get back to us. We call them again, or we follow up again. Now that's where the problem, I don't know if it's a problem or what. I received a notice for interview again. My lawyer received a notice for interview canceling. They scheduled me for an interview, and then they canceled.
Sure.
So they canceled 3 times. First, the cancellation that I received was for the Oregon office, that they canceled the interview that I went in 2022.
You mean the computer said that had been canceled, even though you already completed it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I received that letter, and then after 2 days, I received another one that I've been scheduled for an interview in Oregon on 17th of July. And then I had another one on 3rd of August, back to back in Washington State. And by that time, I was going to Oregon State. I was living in Washington State, but I think those the backlog, they were just trying to distribute to the nearest centers or something.
Mhm.
So my lawyer told me to call the USCIS. When I called the USCIS, the agent told me that I should ignore the Oregon interview and go to the Washington State interview.
Mhm.
So I went before the Washington State interview came on 3rd. But the notice came on 3rd. They had already canceled again.
Mhm.
So they canceled both interviews. So I've been listening to you, and then I was like, okay, I need to go to Washington State. To the Seattle interview. So I went that morning because I was afraid they'll do no show, no whatever, and then they will.
Right.
So I went early in the morning, as per 7, we went for the interview, but then again we were told the interview was cancelled. So that's where my dilemma is.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
They approved my I-130.
The I-130 is approved?
Yeah, after when we followed with the Senate before the 60 days ended, by the time they were telling us they will, in case they've not heard from us, they approved the Y-130. I got an approval for I-130.
Okay, so for the asylum case, did you ever have an interview on the asylum case?
But when I went to the immigration officer, he called me first. And he told me, I'm calling you here first without your husband because you had filed for an asylum, and I didn't want him. I wanted to know about your asylum case. That's what he told me. And
But you never got an interview with the actual asylum office?
No.
Is there anything in your asylum case that you're worried about?
Nothing.
Like everything was true?
Yeah, everything was true. I'd gone through domestic violence, and the same. I got married. I didn't have a divorce or anything, but I just ran away. It was too much, and the only place I would come in the US because I had a valid visa.
Yeah.
When I came here, my husband died.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and he asked me all that. I had a stepdaughter who I was living with. I had 2 kids. Now my stepdaughter, who was for my husband, and the one that now my own kid, my own child. So when I was exiting the marriage, I left with my son. Mm-hmm. But I still support the stepdaughter because that was only the father. The mom had already passed away. Mm. Yeah. So
when you filed your response to the request for evidence, mm-hmm. when they asked about the job that you listed on your DS-160 is not being real, mm-hmm. what did you put in your response?
We put email conversations with my bosses. We put, actually, one of the HR, but the human resource, had texted me via Facebook. He was looking for me because they could not find me, and had texted me on WhatsApp and then on Facebook Messenger, and he had told me, "Oh, I'm looking for you because the U.S. Embassy called the office and asked us about you, and we told them that you had an emergency and you had to leave the country, and you sent in a resignation." So I also printed that and I sent them.
So you had proof that it was a real job.
Yeah, I even had the way you print out the tax returns. Mm-hmm. I had we printed the tax, the Kenya, it's called the Kenya Revenue Authority. Mm-hmm. We printed all those statements. We printed them. We had the emails. I had the P number, like the Social Security. Mm-hmm. Now back home it's called the P number. I had the NHIF, National Hospital. It's like Medicaid insurance here. I had everything, and we submitted them. And I even had a work badge,
employee badge. Yeah, good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let me walk through everything, okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So I have a lady from Kenya, mm-hmm. who came to the United States a couple times and filed for asylum eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Stayed here, never had an asylum interview. Everything in the asylum application is true.
Mm-hmm.
Marries a U.S. citizen. The
Mm-hmm.
U.S. citizen files an I-130.
Mm-hmm.
The case has been scheduled for interview multiple times and multiple locations and descheduled.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Stokes interview
Mm-hmm.
the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, and the I-130 has been approved, and it seems like there's something keeping the 45 from being scheduled and finalized. Does that all seem true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they barely, but it's less than 2 months before they approve the I-130.
Yeah. What's the receipt date on the 45?
October. Let me have it. Let me just check it on my computer.
Sure.
Just a minute. I have it here. I-485. Opening it here. The receipt date, it's 10/30/2020.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to sue them.
And I went for the interview in 2023.
Yeah, that's okay.
February.
They've had the case for 3 years. You should a lawsuit. There's something in your file. It might be that they can't track down your asylum case. It might be that they're not sure if they believe you on the DS-160. But at the end of the day, I think unless you sue them, you're just going to keep waiting.
Okay.
Everything's cool with you and your spouse right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would file a lawsuit sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so should I contact you and inbox?
Yeah. Shoot an email over. Say my name's Ann. I was on at the 30-minute mark on the Monday show, and then they'll get back to you probably today because the office is still open.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Okay.
Bye, Ann. See ya.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. That was interesting. Sometimes you get those cases where you can just tell they're stuck until you sue them. So we'll have to see. She seemed very nice. I liked her a lot. Joe's here. What do you say, Joe?
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
So the reason I'm reaching out to you is because I filed for an EB2 NIW with the adjustment of status. My STEM OPT expired in February, and then I used my combo card, but still my service was active, and I went back to school in July for another master's. So I was thinking about worst case scenario if something was to go wrong, because I had already used my combo card for work. What can be my options? But I'm still going out to school. I'm still going to school, and my service is still active.
So you got your combo card based on a pending I-130/45 filed by a U.S. citizen spouse?
No, the NIW, the EB2 NIW.
Oh, NIW. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So when did you finish school, your undergrad?
I finished my master's in 2019 December, and then I got the STEM OPT for 3 years.
Yes. 3 years. Okay,
Yes.
and then during those 3 years, you applied and got an I-140 approved, and then you filed a 45 based on that, along with a work card. And
no,
go ahead.
So yes, so during the STEM OPT, I was not lucky enough to get the H1B, so I filed for the EB2 NIW. I filed concurrently.
Right, and so. Okay, but the I-140 has been approved, or it's still pending?
No, it's still not yet.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then your OPT, your STEM OPT ran out. You worked on the EAD that you got off the I-140/45, and now you're worried. Now you're worried if the I-140 gets denied.
Yes.
Am I in trouble?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a important question, because USCIS will give you an EAD even though you're not supposed to use it. So if you had asked me beforehand, I would have said don't use it, but I guess you didn't really have a choice, right?
Yeah.
So what's the overall question? What do I think is going to happen?
Yes. So because right now I still went back to school in after I started using my card. So is it possible to, if something was to go wrong, possible to go back to the F1?
Yeah. So your CVIS record wasn't terminated, right?
Yes, it wasn't terminated.
So the question we have to ask ourselves, Joe, is how does this come up in the future? Because no one's going to come like you'll be able to get your other master's degree. You'll be able to graduate, right? But
Yes.
then I don't know what your plan is long term, but if you're thinking to apply for like an employment-based green card or an H-1B, I think you're going to have a problem because that was a violation of your status when you. So if you got selected in the H-1B, I think they would approve the I-129, but they would make you consular process, and you'd have to leave the United States and go get a stamp for the H-1B. They wouldn't change your status in the United States. We've had that happen a few times. It's very, very stressful. So I think somewhere down the road, you're going to have a pain in the butt about this unless you marry a U.S. citizen and it's a real marriage and you apply for adjustment based on that. I think that any other kind of adjustment or any other kind of change of status inside the United States, you're going to have problems.
So that is assuming that the NIW doesn't go through.
Yeah, but you were asking me worst case scenario. If NIW gets approved, gets approved, then you're fine because and I think you might even have a legal argument, Joe, that you're fine either way because you wouldn't be. You didn't do anything wrong or bad, but it was a technical violation of your F1 to use the EAD they gave you on the I-140. So that would be the problem that we'd be having to deal with.
Okay. So, for example, now, if worst case scenario, if it's denied, do I have to file something else so that I can go back to F1, or what is currently my status?
I think as long as your CVIS record wasn't terminated and as long as your I-20 is updated to reflect the new masters, you should just keep going.
Okay. And then if it's denied, should I reach out to a lawyer for something to be done, or I should just keep on doing the masters?
Yeah. If the I-140 is denied, I think you should call me and we can talk about it off camera. We can just talk through what your options are.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Bye, Joe. See ya.
Okay, bye.
All right. Let's say hi to Cindy. Cindy, are you with us? Hello, Cindy. Going once. You're on mute, Cindy. If you're trying to talk, you're on mute. Can't hear you. Andy's here. Hello, Andy.
Hi, can you hear me?
I got you. How you doing?
Okay, good. I have a question. I'm probably in a lucky position that I'm currently on an H-1B visa, and I'm trying to adjust my status to a green card, and I can do it either through my employer, which is willing to do it, but we can only do the EB3. I have a master's, but I don't know if my position would qualify for an EB2. And then I'm also living together with my girlfriend for the last 2.5 years. We've been together for about 3. So I was just trying to figure it out what would be probably the most ideal option. We've been thinking about marriage, so it's not out of the picture and it's, an obvious legit relationship. But I was just trying to figure out what would be the best option from both, from a time standpoint and also monetary. So, because I know EB3 can take about 2-3 years if you're lucky. And the marriage could probably take about half a year, maybe 12 months. I don't really know. Just trying to figure out what the best option may be.
From a purely immigration standpoint, the green card based on marriage is a lot easier than everything else. It's not just the time, but it's also, as you said, the cost. It's also the certainty. I think that if you've been in a relationship for 2.5 years, it sounds like that would be once you get married, that'd be a pretty easy relationship to prove up for purposes of adjustment. So if that's something that you're thinking about, then I would definitely go with that.
Yeah, I mean that, we've been thinking about it for some time, and it just simplify a lot of things. I mean, I've been here in the U.S. since 2011.
Wow.
Starting F1.
Yeah.
And then finally got the H1B. And it would be nice to move on to the green card and have more stability, because it's always,
and flexibility to go work where you want.
Exactly. Yep. And I mean, I'm happy with my employer, and now
Sure.
planning on leaving them anytime soon. But if for whatever reason, like you said, it would be nice to have that flexibility, even if I want to take some side hustles or anything like that. So.
Yep. That's my vote.
Okay. That answered my question then. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. All right, I think Cindy came back. Let's see if Cindy's here. Cindy, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I have a question. My husband and I got married 3 years ago. I put in for the I-130. We got approved in 2020. We did our interview in 2021 of December.
Where?
Did medical, did everything. We haven't heard back anything.
Where was the interview?
In New York, the I-485 adjustment of status.
But where it happened in New York? Is that what you said?
Yes, Federal Plaza.
Okay. And what was your spouse's status before you got married?
He was undocumented. He came on a visa and he overstayed.
Okay. So, and you have proof of his entry and his inspection and all that?
Yes. All that we have.
If I were to ask you this question, Cindy, why do you think they're sitting on the case? Why do you think they haven't approved it if you had your interview? What's the filing date of the 485?
March 2nd, 2021.
March.
But I received a letter a week ago for a second medical.
That's good. So that sounds like they're close.
Yeah. So my question to you is what happens after this process? We already did the medical, and I've expressed it over yesterday on Saturday.
I think you're in good shape. I'd give them 90 days. If nothing in 90 days, call me back, and then maybe we can talk about sooner. But I think for now, I would just sit tight since there's been recent activity.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jim.
Bye, Cindy. See ya. Oh, sorry. What'd you say?
I say a huge fan of your work.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya.
No problem. Take care.
Bye. All right, let's head to Chicks. Chicks Alvin is in the house. What's up, Chicks? Oh, you're on mute or something.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. I have a few questions here. Hold on, my lights keep going off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I came to United States 2015, 2014, then got married 2015. Then on 2016, I filed my I-130. On 2016 December, I received my first green card, but the marriage, turned upside down, went towards west due to abuse and everything. But 2018, I filed. We separated 2018. Then I filed based on abuse. 2018, this September. Then COVID came in 2020, but my case wasn't even. They didn't move anything about my case till 2021 when they sent me to do a fingerprint.
Okay.
Then after my fingerprint in 2020, last year, October, because since I filed my removal of condition, every year they give me like a stamp on my passport.
Yeah.
Because I work as well. So the last time that I went for another stamp, the immigration officer told me that I'm already qualified to file the N400. So I was like, okay. So she told me to file for N400. That it doesn't mean whether if the 751 is pending or not, that the N400 will help move the case faster. So I filed N400 in October last year. Then this year, May, they sent me an invite to come for an interview.
Oh,
After 2 days, no, after like 3 days of receiving the notice, I got a call from immigration office saying that I should come with my ex-wife. So I was like, okay, but I asked her, hey, I'm not with my ex-wife anymore. She was like,
and I'm applying on the abuse
and
exception.
I'm applying on that abuse, and you asked me to come with my ex-wife during the interview. So she was like, just come with your ex-wife the day of interview. So I was like, okay. I switched off the phone and I called
Chicks,
my
which field office was this, Chicks?
This Detroit field office.
Okay.
So so I called my ex-wife. I told her what happened, what's going on, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna go with you, regardless. But I went over there with a lawyer. The day of the interview, we came over there, and even before the interview, I asked her, did you send any email or whatever? Did you call them? All these things, and she said no. So when we got there, and the immigration officer was surprised initially.
Yeah, I bet.
So he was like, "Oh my God! I mean, how did they do this mistake? Like, how could they even called me and asked me to come with my ex-wife?
Your abusive ex-wife.
Yeah, exactly." And he kept saying that I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I have so many cases on my hand right now, and
right.
I mean, I don't think we can go through this.
He just inherited a shit sandwich. That's why.
Yeah, he was saying that I don't know if we can go through the N400 interview today. Let's just talk about the I-751. So he was like, I don't know whether if I should do stone interview with you guys or not. But so all of a sudden, he asked my ex-wife, do you want us to give him a green card? And she said, yeah, he deserves it. He's a nice guy. And so he was like, so why did you send us the email in 2019?
Oh, this is like Jerry Springer, man. So it's all, I mean, this is all the shit that they do in secret, but this is all out in public.
Yeah.
Right? Like ordinarily they would just go knock on her door and say, hey, this guy's trying to get his green card. You sent us this letter back in 2019. Do you still mean it? But he did all this in front of you.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, he kept saying that he was like, okay, initially he was like, you know what, I'm not going to listen to anything until you write a sworn affidavit, on behalf of me.
Her or you?
Her, until she kind of like give a statement in affidavit. So she was like, yeah, I can write affidavit on behalf of him, but if you ask me anything, since I already sworn an oath, I will tell you what it is. So that was the time that he asked her, do you want us to give her a green card? She said, yeah, he deserved it. So she was like, okay. So the officer took all my files, everything, and asked us to wait and left the office. Then went upstairs. After like 10 minutes, he came downstairs and he was like, you know what? Let's go to the N400 interview.
Wow.
So he asked me whether if I want my ex-wife to stay in the room during the 400 interview. I said, yeah, if you want. So in the mix of the 400 interview, I mean, he sent like a Skype message or IM message to one of his co-workers to come and pick her,
the field office.
Another field officer came and pick her and asked her to come with her. But when she left, so he was like, I felt that she don't like to hear word abuse, So I asked her to leave to go and stay in the hallway. Let's just finish this N400 interview. But after the N400 interview, I answered all the questions, the civic question,
I'm sorry, Chicks. When was the date of the N400 interview?
It was on June 13th.
June 13th. So July, August, September, October. Okay. All right. I'm with you.
So I mean, before the interview, I sent them notice of I sent them a requirement for like a case staying longer than is supposed for my I-751. But
Yeah.
last week, they respond to me telling me that my case has been sent to an officer that is reviewing it right now. I mean, so, but after my interview, he gave me a paper saying that I passed my interview, my N400 interview, and I mean, my case is not going to be approved right now.
So
I mean, they're going to review my case. I mean, the paper that he gave me, like, hey, you passed the interview, but your case is still under review.
Okay, so I have lots of thoughts on this situation, but what questions do you have for me before I get to my thoughts?
My question is, do you think he's going to approve my I-751, or is he already approved the time that he jumped to an N400 interview?
No. Let me ask a couple questions. What country are you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
And how did you come to the United States?
I came through a F1 visa, and I did my master's here. I completed my master's.
Good for you. Were you single at the time that you got your F1?
I was single, yeah. I came through. I came from Europe. I did my bachelor's in Germany, then came over here, did my master's.
So you were never married in Nigeria?
No, I left Nigeria when I was 19 years old.
Okay, good.
And he asked me all those questions. He asked me whether if I'm married in Nigeria and if I already have a kid. I told him no. I don't have any kid, and I'm not married. You know, I was literally single when I met my ex-wife.
This is one of the craziest things. I mean, I say this once a week, but this is one of the craziest things I've heard in a really long time. I mean, so it was a phone call that the field office called before the interview and said, bring your wife?
Yes, and also he even mentioned that I wasn't the only one that made that mistake, that the guy that he just saw before me that morning said, had the same issue.
So what day your interview was on a Monday, is that right?
It was on Tuesday.
And they called you on Friday?
No, they called me they sent me my notification in May. So after like a few days of receiving the letter, I got a call. I was at the office when I received a call. I mean, the call was like a month before my interview, or a few weeks before my interview.
And the officer said, so somebody called and said, I'm calling from the Detroit field office.
Yes.
And when you come to your interview, you need to bring your ex-wife with you.
You need to bring, the person's statement was, come with your wife.
Come with your wife. And then you said, and did they talk about the N400 or the 751 or both?
No, he just said, because the letter that I had was an N400 interview, not I-751.
Okay.
So the lady just said, come with your wife during when you are coming for the interview.
Okay, so let's give them the benefit of the doubt. As much as I hate to do that, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I think I know what might have happened. Okay, so as you may have heard me talk about before, in the old days, chicks, we didn't have interviews on most 751s, and most 751s were resolved long before you could even apply for citizenship. Right. So even though it's been 4 or 5 years, we're in this weird spot now where the 751 system doesn't interact perfectly with the N400 system, right? So let's say that in the Detroit field office on your Tuesday, let's say there were 16 people naturalizing that day, okay? I bet you $10 that there's some moron that works there that gets a list every day that says, okay, these are the 16 people that are naturalizing. If any of them were married and aren't married anymore, you need to call them before the interview and tell them to come to bring their spouse to the field office, because their N400 got scheduled automatically by the National Benefit Center or one of the service centers. And they don't know that the 751, the computer doesn't know that the 751 hasn't been resolved. And they're not looking for people that are single or divorced. They're just looking at 751s, bring your spouse, bring your spouse, bring your spouse, because we're so dumb. We only know how to say and think one thing. Does that make sense?
Right.
That's what I think happened. But I think you can, I mean, first of all, if I were your lawyer and they told me to have you bring her, I would have raised holy hell. Like, I never, ever, ever would have let you bring her.
Even my lawyer was even the one that was pressuring me. Please make sure you bring her. Make sure you let her know.
No. That's
Make
a
sure you
horrible
talk to
call.
her.
That's a horrible call. Do you know why that's a horrible call?
Why?
Because if you're in such a level of contact with your ex-spouse who abused you that you can get them to come with you, that hurts your claim that you were abused.
Oh my God.
That's the simple act of bringing her without her ever saying anything. To me, if they want to screw you, and I'm not saying they do, but if they want to screw you, they can use that as evidence that the one with real control is not the abusive wife, but you.
But for everything, I have all the police documents.
Oh, I believe you. And I think we can still. I think we could still beat them back with this. But it was just super dumb of the lawyer to allow her to come, much less encourage her to come. Does that make sense?
Right.
So here's the deal.
Uh-huh.
On the 121st day after your interview, so that would be June, July, August, September, October. In October, we should sue them right away and talk about how dumb they are, and sue for the 751 and the N400. I would say sue now, but you've already got that clock ticking on the N400. You're already halfway there. I would wait 2 more months. I'd sue them on the 121st day. They're gonna look like total shitheads, which they are, and they're not gonna want to mess around with this at all. I think it's a little bit aggressive to sue them, but I would totally sue the shit out of them because they're so dumb, and because 120 days will have gone by, and you'll be entitled to naturalize right then. I would sue. I mean, I wouldn't sue them on the 122nd day. I would sue them on the 121st day, because the main reason you want to sue them is because they're fucking around with your schedule and your life, and you want to get a federal judge. This is a special kind of a lawsuit. When the 120 days have gone by, the court has jurisdiction the day we sue them, and we don't want to agree to go back to USCIS Detroit unless there's some major acknowledgments of how much they effed up your case.
Oh,
okay. Like this is newsworthy. Like that was a really big mistake, and we can use that as leverage to hopefully get everything approved. So I don't know if you've called my office or if you're thinking about calling.
I will call your office. I don't even know the number, but
yeah, we'll put it there. Just say I'm Chicks and Jim's pissed and he wants to talk to me. And I mean, I wouldn't do anything until 120 days have gone by, but we can get ready, and I would literally file it on the 121st day.
So I mean, let me screenshot this number. Yeah. So like in case of like what you said, for them telling me to bring her and I came with her, that is going to temper my case. Do you think it's something that I should worry about, like for him denying my case, or because he was so pissed about them calling me to bring her. He was so pissed. He didn't even ask me much question. He was just hissing around, walking up and down, saying that he never seen stuff like this. Somebody coming.
He probably came from another field office, and he's like, "What the f is going on?"
And he asked me what if I came. Although I drove with her, though, even though
that's the kind of stuff I don't like. I mean, hopefully they don't know that. Like that's.
He knew that because number one, I mean, we had that rocky relationship from 2016 to 2020. Then after 2021, I mean, she later went and got the help that she needed because she had an issue. She went and got the help and started asking for, hey, I still need you to help my son and daughter, please, I'm a clean person now, I'm a new person now and all that. But the relationship was there. But
Chicks, do you know what was in the affidavit that she signed when you were there that day?
What she sent to them, the email?
No. Well, one, I want to know if you can get a copy of that. That would be great.
No, she didn't give them. And she was telling the officer, if you want me to write affidavit, I can send you affidavits tomorrow. But the officer later went upstairs and said
she never wrote anything and signed it there in front of you.
No, she didn't write anything. But she told the officer that I qualified to have a green card. When the officer asked her, do you want us to give her a green card? Do you want us to give him green card? And she said yes, he deserves it. He's a nice person.
Was it recorded? Do you know if it was recorded? Was there camera on or no?
I don't know that, but there was a tablet over there.
No,
I went with a lawyer.
I don't know what to say about that. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. All right. Well, chicks, send us an email. We'll get working on it as we get closer, but that's one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. I mean, this is the kind of case that I would actually, even if they denied your naturalization, I would appeal it because we need to get to smarter people and show how dumb they were and how badly they treated you. All right?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, chicks. All right, buddy.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That'll do it for today's show. Huli tells me that tomorrow we're going to do it at 4. Let me make sure today. Not that I don't believe her. I just want to make sure my schedule's good. Yeah. No, I'm finishing the show. Come say hi.
Oh.
Look who's here, everybody. Special guest star. We're finishing the show. So
Hi,
we're all done. Wait till you hear. So let me just tell you.
Yeah.
My man filed an I-751 and he filed it based on abuse of his wife.
Hmm.
His case was pending for 3 years.
Hmm.
He applies for citizenship,
Hmm.
and he gets his N-400 interview notice.
Hmm.
A couple of days before the interview, they call and say, you need to bring your ex-wife with you. And he said, well, she's the one who abused me. And they're like,
What?
they're
He
like,
didn't apply based on marriage, right?
no, on the 5-year rule.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
And so then he shows up and the officer loses his shit that somebody else had called and said, bring your wife. And he asked her, she had written a bad letter about him. It was like everything happened, but it all happened in front of him.
Oh my god.
Do you still want him to get his green card? Yeah. All right, everybody, we got to go.
Bye guys.
See
Bye,
you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, 4:00 Central. And remember, if you got 60 seconds and can leave us a quick review, reviewhackinglaw.com. We would really appreciate it. You'd appreciate that, wouldn't you?
Oh yes, I would. Thank you.
Bye, guys. All right.